Sorry, Elks fans. We're starting off with a pass play from Kalaros, and I don't know what he was doing. Probably going to have to look for a new job. Touchdown, Blue Bombers. My apologies for the hiatus. Not asking for pity points, so let's just head right into it. We have the Winnipeg Blue Bombers taking on the Calgary Stampeders tonight. Calgary's coming off of a bye, and both of these teams have similar talent. I underplayed the value of Calgary Stampeders up until now, but they look like a legitimate team. I don't consider that loss to the Red Blacks to be that legitimate in terms of it being a game where there was equanimity because of the weather limited both teams. It was kind of who wins is going to be the luckier team. The Hamilton Tiger Cats looked very good. They always looked good. Week 1 wasn't great. Week 2 wasn't great, but they've been steadily improving. While the Argonauts finally got the first win of the season, it ended up being that the Tiger Cats knocked out the Montreal Alouettes. The Alouettes were shaky in the prior week, week 3. And then they lost to the Hamilton Tigers. The British Columbia Lions, they're probably going to have a difficult time this week as well. So we look for a bounce back in this match. While the two worst teams in all of the CFL are playing, which is a novelty in itself, I'm still going to watch it. It'll be the Ottawa Red Blacks taking on the Edmonton Elks. I was going to say Eskimos. That's wrong. Anyways, let's move on to the next clip. We'll look at the Stampeders real fast. And this is one of the few good plays during week 3. They had a bye during week 4, so here you go. It's only proper to orient you to week 4 anyways, with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers having a nice tune-up game against the Edmonton Elks, Eskimos. And the Tiger Cats, very, very satisfying win against the Montreal Alouettes. The Rough Riders tore into a British Columbia team that were down a quarterback. And this is the first time that they finally put the foot on the neck of a team in the fourth quarter. The Toronto Argonauts, they finally have a nice win to lean on. We'll look at the standings as we move on to the next clip. Backed up into their end zone. No rouge to be had, but the Tiger Cats get the interception. Nice. As we look through this, you can pause the video if you want to prolong your stay here. But the Rough Riders technically could be called the cream of the crop, being the being the better of the two undefeated teams in the West Division. You have to remember that 3 teams from each division will be playoff bound. So, although the Argonauts and the Red Blacks had a soft start, and the Tiger Cats I think are going to be better than both of those teams, it's going to be hard to miss the playoffs. While the West Division, 2 teams will be missing that playoff. The Lions must feel like they have to get their ears in gear, while the Elks seem very hopeless. Stampeders are better than their record looks. They might be one of the best teams in the league. Again, I was wrong about their talent. Their talent level, it's only going to be up from here, I believe. Similar to how the Tiger Cats went. Blue Bombers, they're unproven. So let's just say that they have potential. Despite the record, I don't know if they're there yet. Alouettes, they're down a quarterback, so that loss is going to happen. Once he comes back, I don't think it's that serious of an injury. It should be fine. So you can prolong your visit here by pausing the video right now. On behalf of seeing the standings, anyways. We may as well watch another bomb of sorts, as we see this guy just being hyper productive. They couldn't bring him down early. Didn't know what to do. I don't feel that either team is going to be that hindered by this, except I don't like that offensive lineman Bryce Bell being out for the Stampeders. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, though. I think that maybe that bye week gave them time to rest these guys a little bit. Josh Love is a quarterback. It's true. He's injured, but he's not a starter, so that's not as serious as it looks. Whereas there is there's a running back out for the Bombers, and although that hurts, it's not the end of the world. Now, I don't think that this is going to play much into whichever team wins, but we'll see as we move on to the next clip. The Stampeders struggled, but let's give them a good play right here. It was very rainy and windy. And let's give some respect to Zach Collaros. It was a very impressive game. I know that it was a tune-up game against a team that isn't that great. However, let's look at the stats there. 25 out of 30 is excellent. That's in the 80% range for completions. 334 yards, excellent. 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, amazing. 11.1 yards per pass attempt that's completed. That's also very good. No complaints here. Week 2 was a big step up. I'm glad that I wasn't very rough with him in the first 2 weeks because he's come into form. The rushing attack, there was enough carries for there to be a balance and enough yards for it to be a valid balance. I can't complain there. It's 90 plus yards altogether right there. I know Strebler there as a quarterback, but if he runs, it's not as big of a deal as Collaros running, even though he did have that one run there. Looks like he didn't get hit if he got a touchdown, right? If I recall. It's been a while. Now, I don't like the targets. The targeting can always improve right here. He seemed to focus on 3 of them. But given the efficiency of 25 out of 30, I'm going to give him a little bit more respect because everything is on a continuum here. Because if somebody is 20 out of 30 and they're only targeting 3 people, I might have something more to say than somebody that's nearly perfect and having 3 targets. I like to see 4 or 5, but, good enough. And the defense was hyper productive, so there isn't much to say other than that the Blue Bombers have a complete team, and that's something exciting for them. Let's look at another. Oh, sorry, we already seen this one. I thought I had it on a different bookmark. We'll watch another one. I'm rusty, but Collaros isn't. Look at that. He puts it where nobody else can get it. He leads his receiver. It was perfect. Touchdown. That was perfect. On the other hand, Vernon Adams Jr. looks like he had a very bad performance, but give him some slack. The weather was not there for throwing. It looks like a 60% completion rate. Let me go ahead and do some math on my calculator here real fast. Gonna have to jump cut for it though. It's worse than I thought. It was 53%, but again, give him some slack. He really couldn't do anything in the passing game. The running attack was actually very functional. Look at that. One guy almost got over 100 yards, and certainly as a team they got there. I don't like that Vernon Adams Jr. ran with it, but, if you can't throw the ball, you got to do something to prove your worth on a team, so that's fine. And you see how, if we go back to the other slide, we're going to stick here for a while, obviously, but 6-4-4-6 or 6-6-5-4-4, that is some good distribution. But if I go back to the other slide, if I go right here, I'm sweating the fact that it's 7-6-6. It's not that different, but to me it is. And maybe you see it too, where if you're going to be throwing the ball and you're distributing like this, it's much more even. Oh, sorry there. I was just pointing at it and I clicked on it, dragged. But it's much more even so that there's less emphasis on double teaming particular people. Everybody's a threat in that offense for a catch. Now, this is all based in fact. It really doesn't matter if you're that inaccurate. So the targeting is there, but it really doesn't matter if you're not hitting your targets. So the defense had a rough time. They were basically handled by the Red Blacks on offense. Red Blacks have a valid offense. They do not have a valid defense, despite the Red Blacks holding off the Stampeders as we go on to the next slideroo. But before I do, I actually prefer the Stampeders in this match against the Blue Bombers just because they had that week to prepare, that bye week during week 4. They're able to heal up a little bit, and I think Vernon Adams Jr. is going to be a lot better in some standard weather, don't you? Sometimes a scheme that shouldn't work just works. And look, what made it happen was all that blocking, everybody putting in the effort there. Very nice run right there. Let's have a closer look at these injuries. I'm sorry to say that they're suffering through it. So, by they, I meant to say Toronto. Look at how terrible that is. Chad Kelly's still out. They're going to be slow with him because, you know, they're pretty much fine at quarterback with the backup. The Grey Cup winning quarterback, by the way. They have just now that I'm incorporating the injury reports. Look at there being 2 offensive linemen out. Maybe that's why they're having difficulty running the ball. That's something you have to consider. Yeah, just the defense is getting hit. Wynton McManus is a key piece, and he's out. In comparison, the Hamilton Tiger Cats are pert and perfect. They should be fine. They're coming off a good motivational win. So if we just go off of injuries alone, we might say that the Tiger Cats have a little bit of an advantage. Let's move on to look at some Toronto Argonauts highlights. Here's this time it was an accident that I showed this. Let's watch a good clip. Here we are. Something good's going to happen here, I swear it. Yeah, there you go. Good job, Argonauts. Let's look at this amazing performance here. We have the Tiger Cats coming off a brilliant win. Not much yardage, but I like the balance of the running on the Tiger Cats. Hey, they have a perfect punter at throwing the ball, too. And an 8-yard average off of the completion of the passes. Nearly 250 yards. Bo Levi Mitchell's finally looking like the quarterback that the announcers talk about. However, I want to see more spread in the targeting. You see that Tim White and Kenny Lawler were his preferred targets. That can be schemed against. However, I will say the Argonauts have a good defense. I don't know if this is the game where the Tiger Cats are exploited for that. Then you see the sack and the 2 interceptions and a couple tackles for loss. The defense was productive too. Which is to say, this is their best performance throughout the season against the strongest opponent. Can they bring it into the next game against those Argonauts? As we look at a nice clip for the Tiger Cats this time. Here we go. Oh, that should have been a touchdown. But let's see if they can get it in. I thought he crossed the plane when I saw it. Touchdown, Tiger Cats. Ol Arbuckle is still the quarterback here. And he's, I liked his week 3 performance. And now he's going back to the norm for the first 2 weeks during week 4. I don't like that interception. Now, let's do some quick math here, but the 10.8 yards per attempt is pretty amazing. So let's go 18 divided by 25. What do we get here? 72%. Good enough. Will he eventually get replaced by Chad Kelly? Tends to look that way. And we look at the rushing yards. There was not enough distribution there for the people that should carry the ball. It was only 12 yards for those that should. And even if we add Arbuckle, that's 30 yards right there. 12 plus 18 is 30. So, not that great. I do like that he's targeting a variety of receivers. Let's give him credit there. He really needs to show out this week for him to retain that job. Their defense was looking hot. Their defense was on fire. I think I'm more confident with the Rough Riders, though, or the Alouettes. And even the Blue Bombers, even though they're unproven, to exploit Bo Levi Mitchell's focus on 2 wide receivers. That's probably a bad bet because The Argonauts should be able to do that. I'm just not sold on them being an elite team just yet. Does that make sense? If they're able to limit Bo Levi Mitchell, by all means, I apologize, but I don't know if this is the game for them. I think the Tiger Cats have a little bit of an advantage, but we'll go ahead and speak more to that at the end of the entire video, where we'll talk about the lines and whatnot. And maybe we should remediate that if it's by a certain amount of points, but the Tiger Cats should be a little bit okay here. They should be barely able to squeak out a win, you know. Would it be wrong for me to say that showing a highlight feels like false advertising? Because this is an okay play, but throughout the game it was much worse. Okay, little wobble. Not bad. Yeah. Now let's have a look at these injuries here. So I orient myself to the new slide. And yeah, the BC Lions have a lot of people that are dinged up. While just the Thursday gap doesn't give us the full story here. Did not play is a significant thing. If we go 1, 3, 5, 6, did not play for the BC Lions in comparison to the 2 for the other team. Austin Mack and Dylan Wynn, you know, that's not going to be the greatest thing for the Alouettes. I'm still more concerned with Davis Alexander, who was limited. Hamstring, I don't know if he plays. And the CFL is not exact. You don't have to be that accurate with the injury report like you do in the NFL. If he doesn't play, I'm probably down on the Alouettes. So my assumption is that he's not going to play. So keep that into context if something happens for game time. Now, Nathan Rourke being out, that's bad too. I have to say that the Alouettes are probably still favored. Just because they really desperately need Rourke, but it's not like the quarterbacks for Montreal are looking great either. It's going to be a trash game. Can I say that? It's going to be a trash game. As we look at a nice highlight for the Montreal Alouettes. Here's the quarterback just being a player. It's not much of a read. It's, you know that you're going to just quick hit 1, 2, 3. Do I throw it to this guy or the other guy? So I'm sorry that there's another clip here that's not as glowing, is it? Sorry. This is probably one of the worst performances during this week. Last week, that is, week 4. So let's put it into context. 16 out of 29. 15 out of 30 is 50%, so 16 out of 29, a little bit above that. Not good enough. It's not above 70% completion percentage. 173 yards, not good enough in context. In context of the yards gained of being able to stay in the game. 3 interceptions, that's where it's at. You know that it was a bad game. And then below 7 yards per completed attempt. Not good. Not good. I'm not necessarily saying pull him for Chase Bryce yet. Give him another game. Give him another game to have a real look. But James Butler, he did his part. Look at that. Under 20 attempts, but he still got 123 yards. Very nice. Now, yeah, he's targeting people. He's spreading the ball out. Doesn't matter if you're performing this poorly. The sacks and the tackles for loss. I think that is significant because they did that against the Rough Riders, Saskatchewan Rough Riders. So, you know, the BC Lions are a good team. It's just that they had their quarterback injured. It's really rough for me because we're going to have a look at another quarterback injured team in terms of Davis Alexander being out. And I'm a huge Davis Alexander fan in terms of what he can do on the field. So here's a clip for the Lions real fast. Here's a nice little handoff. We're going to see what Butler can do with it. And this is one of the highlights because the running game was pretty good, wasn't it? Imagine if Rourke was there, huh? Well, here are the Alouettes. And it isn't pretty either, with it being a bad showing by the quarterback in terms of completions. I think that I've heard that McLeod, Bethel Thomas, McLeod, but it's McLeod, Bethel Thomas. He struggled. Those aren't good numbers. We can move on from that. It's just, it is what it is. He's a backup. He's not ready for the season like a Davis Alexander is in terms of being drilled for this, in terms of getting the reps in game. So this is bound to happen. I don't have any definitive yays or nays for Caleb Evans. I haven't seen enough of him. While even the running attack was very limited, it's very shocking because they've been running the ball well. I do like the spread of the targeting, but that is, again, if you're not hitting the targets, the targeting doesn't matter. It's a good spread, it's good distribution, but it's not there. Well, the defense is more or less, intact and doing what it needs to do. There just needs to be an offense to win the game for them. So, who do I think will win against these two teams? This is the worst game this week in terms of entertainment value. Golly, I have to go Alouettes with the slight edge. Next clip. I'm sorry, but there isn't very much positive to show of the Elks, so we're going to watch one of these clips. I like that he showed some hustle there. That wasn't his guy. Anyways, the Elks are very intact. In comparison, the Red Blacks are very beaten up. The defense is not the highlight. At least they'll have the offense in play. But here you can have a quick look at the injuries. There isn't much to say on this slide, other than, sometimes this sort of thing happens. Drew Brown being limited. I don't like that. Ooh, this might be the Elks' turn to win. Yeah, I forgot about that. Oh, yep. That's going to be really. This is going to be phenomenal for the Elks. If they can't win this game, it's really sad because these are the two worst teams in the league, which does make it interesting to watch, in my opinion. Old Dustin Crum. He gets a shot. He deserves it. Let's see. 20 out of 30, that is a straight 66%. How do I know that? Because it's 2 out of 3, where it's 2/3 right there. So 66%. That's an interception. He's played very average. Now, he didn't get a 70% completion rate, but not bad for a backup, right? Not bad for a backup. I can't really criticize him that much. Again, it's based off of reps, but that doesn't mean that he's going to win the next game. That doesn't mean that he's going to be ready this week either. I don't like the distribution numbers here. He focused on 3 people, being Lewis, Pimpleton, and Addison. Just 3 in a row from receiving. The running attack, even though that's a lot of yards, I don't like the balance in terms of the amount of times carried. While the defense is paradoxically better, I'm not going to be that rough on their defense here on out, I think. I think the coaching staff got on them. So let's look at the Red Blacks and their play here. Here's something exciting for you guys, a bit of a broken play. I don't like the quarterback run usually, but, you guys like to see this, so I'll show you this. I have so many mixed emotions on Trey Ford this year. I keep on saying negative things about the guy, but he's doing enough to get them in the games, and so it's very difficult for me. I like that he's peeled back from week to week. He hasn't been carrying as much as he was in the first few games. I like that. Now, the amount of rush yards on the team is pretty good. I like that the slot back, Kyan Julian Grant, that's basically a hybrid of wide receiver and running back, was able to contribute there, giving them a change-up look organically. Just not enough attempts to make it a real balance for Trey Ford, and maybe his numbers go up once there's a valid commitment to the run. Okay. I think that this is their week. I really do. I don't like the super focus on Kyan Julian Grant. Kion, that is, with the 8 targets, and Stephen Dunbar Jr.'s 9 targets. Not many of those hit those guys either. Maybe we'll see Arkell Smith step up because he got every catch for every attempt there. So maybe that's going to build some trust with Trey Ford. You'll see. It's all relational. While their defense wasn't perfect, there's a lot of pressure they gave. And that actually actuated. If you actually look at the stats there, 2 tackles for loss and the sack. You know, I think that the coaching staff is building them up. And maybe this isn't their season, but they can certainly beat the Red Blacks. Despite me feeling the Edmonton Elks are the worst team in the league, not this week, because we have Trey Ford, and he's not going against, if we go back a slide, he's not going against Drew Brown either. If I can just do that for you guys real quick. He's going against Dustin Crum, who isn't terrible. He's just not a starter. Okay? So let's consider all of these games, but I think we have to look at the Tiger Cats again real quick, if you don't mind. We're not going to get into a slide. We just need to look at them. Yeah, this is Peak Rust. This is the Hamilton will be playing. Geez, I'm so disorganized after. Again, I have no excuse, but in any case, Hamilton will be playing the Argonauts, and this is why I was going to favor the Argonauts in my script here. I'm actually going to go straight off a script to get you out of this video quicker because I feel bad about this. Especially because the Tiger Cats had such an amazing game. Yeah, anyways. The Bethel Thomas, not a perfect performance. But, they stood in the game. I like the targeting here. The completion percentage, not stellar, with it being 24. This is where I will make a jump cut, where it's 24 divided by 41. So I'm sorry about that. 58%, that's what I thought. Yeah, the amount of carries, this does not look like a winning amount of stats here. Now, does it? I do like the targeting, but he really didn't hit the mark that often. So it's moot in terms of the receiving, and there wasn't very many carries either. Sometimes there'll be games like this with Davis Alexander out, they were able to win. What I do feel though, is that they can carry this motivation into the next game, that the Argonauts are still vulnerable. It's really a toss-up. I feel like Arbuckle can lead them over the Hamilton Tiger Cats, but this is going to be an interesting game for me. I want to watch it. I'm going to advise you guys not to bet on this one. I don't like gambling in general, okay? But what I'm going to say to you is that there's no reason for us to even consider this game. So instead of giving you this end screen, why don't we go to the very start and look at the games that will be played? Okay. Let's look at the lines here. Winnipeg versus Cal. The Stampeders are favored by minus 3.5. I think that is correct. I think I would take the points and that they'll win this game outright. Now, back to the Hamilton Tiger Cats and the Argonauts. Don't even bet this game. That's going to be my suggestion to you. That's my pick 'em. Don't even bet it, but I think the Toronto Argonauts are going to win. So let's look at the lines again. It's a 1.5 favorite for the Toronto Argonauts, so that means they have to win by 2. And again, in the game above, Stampeders would have to win by 4. I think Calgary can do it. I'm saying that, yeah, if you absolutely have to bet this game, the Argonauts are probably going to win. And you should probably take the points. Because the points are so low. But here's my real suggestion. Do not bet this game. Again, and this is the week where I have 2 games like this, where it's the Montreal Alouettes taking on the BC Lions. It's probably safer to not bet this game, whereas I have a definitive pick for the Edmonton Elks. But for the fun of it, let's pick them anyways. For the Montreal Alouettes are going to be favored for me, despite BC having a better showing from their backup. Alouettes are favored by 5 points. You have to get 6 to get your money. -5 means that you'll break even. I say do not take the points. Quite obviously, I think this is much closer than it looks. But you can pick them though. Is if you have to absolutely bet this. Again, not my decision for you to do this in these two games. But if you have to pick them, like say for an office pool, pick the Alouettes. Ottawa Redblacks and the Edmonton Elks. I'm going Elks. Oh, I'm going Elks now, man. It's time. It's time. Redblacks are a 2 point favorite. I'm saying the Edmonton Elks beat that. You take the points with the Elks, they're going to win outright. And if you have to pick them, pick the Elks. And I think that I would take the pick 'em. So again, Calgary, I know that they're going to win and cover. Edmonton Elks, I know they're going to get an upset win and get the points there. Now, if you look at Hamilton versus Toronto, don't do it. Don't do it. But my assumption is Argonauts. Again, with the BC Lions and the Montreal Alouettes, don't do it. But the Alouettes are likely going to win that. If we had to pick one for an office pool, not throwing some real money around, okay? Okay. Sorry, guys, this is going to sharpen up. I just had a terrible few days. Again, no pity points. Don't send money over this. But you guys have a great day. And it's a game day with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers taking on the Calgary Stampeders. It's going to be fun. Bye now.